Season 2, Episode 3, Siren, which first aired almost 20 years ago on September 10th, 1999, is one of the better standalone episodes of the show, notable for featuring actress Jewel Staite as the titular Siren. It's a romantic horror episode, following the example of Season 1, Episode 7, Angel, but is significantly edgier with a real sense of foreboding and the implication that one of the main group, Carrie, is in danger. This dynamic would later be used for the creepy but less impactful Season 2 Episode 20, Fathom, in which a merman courts Molly. Out of all of the romantic horror episodes, Siren hits the nail on the head for the right combination of playfulness, edginess, romance, and the sense that the plot actually matters, and isn't just a throwaway Monster of the Week episode. However, it also suffers from a great deal of heterosexism, the framing suggesting that everyone in the world is heterosexual, that bothers me now as a bisexual woman, and confused me back then as a bisexual 10-year-old. And the inherent rapey nature of the Siren song is glossed over. The episode was directed by Gary Harvey, a prolific Canadian television director and producer who previously directed 3 episodes in the series, including the marvelously fun Season 1 Episode 13, Will-o'-the-Wisp, and he would go on to direct Season 2 Episode 5, Listen. This was a director who knew what he was doing, who had a good grasp on the show, and had a talent for dramatic storytelling. The writer, Brian Nelson, was also a So Weird mainstay, who previously worked on Season 1 Episode 8, Strangeling, a nice playful and edgy episode only pulled down by mediocre special effects, and he would go on to write Season 2 Episode 19, Troll, and Season 3 Episode 9, Carnival, possibly the edgiest episode of Season 3. After So Weird, he wrote for multiple horror movies, including 2005's Hard Candy and the 2010 M. Night Shyamalan film Devil. Between them both, Siren had a good combination of talent to bring it to life. Jewel Staite, at the time, was perhaps best known for her role as Catalina in the 1996 Nickelodeon Lost in Space parody Space Cases. Now, of course, she is known for her work on the 2002 sci-fi series Firefly and its 2005 film continuation Serenity, where she played Kaylee Fry, an enthusiastic tomboy with a thing for Simon Tam, a shy doctor, played by Sean Marr. However, in 1999, I personally knew her from the 1995 children's dramedy Flash Forward, Disney Channel airing reruns of the show as late as 1998, in which she played an attractive girl-next-door love interest to the show's protagonist. As a girl with bisexual romantic interests, I had a crush on her. Full-on puppy love infatuation. I didn't have the language to describe it as such, but I know enough now that I can label it that way. It's only natural that I came to like her in Siren and Firefly, even though I didn't recognize the separate characters as played by the same actress as the Flash Forward girl, until I went on IMDb one day and blew my mind. My attraction to the actress seems especially resonant when it comes to her role as an attraction-inducing siren, and especially ironic given the show's framing, suggesting that queer people like me didn't exist. There is much that can be addressed when it comes to the episode's portrayal of gender roles. I've already discussed sirens in my reviews of Jennifer's Body and Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 1 Episode 4 Teacher's Pet, and I recommend checking those out for my general thoughts on the subject. So Weird does their own take on the siren. The episode's cold open teaser has V introduce the concept of sirens for us, assuming that kids have never read the Odyssey, and she relates to sirens as a girl who might be interested in a trick to get boys interested in her. It's a nice bit of foreshadowing to her developing interest that will result in actual love interests in Season 2 Episode 9 Second Generation and Season 2 Episode 22 Vampire. And it also functions as a way to emphasize her as a straight girl for an audience assumed to not believe that bisexuality exists. I'm not sure they think lesbians exist either, but emphasizing V's interest in boys emphasizes her function as a girl with romantic interests different from Carrie and the other male characters. V relates to the concept of a woman having a trick to get a man with feminist mindfulness. She disdainfully regards the way that pop culture tells girls they have to conform to restrictive gender performances to be seen as attractive, dismissing this as a good trick. Even if it can work, it's not worth it. In this way, the episode is empowering to girls through rejecting negative influences. Only something like a magically alluring song that can be pulled out without compromising a girl's personal expression would be worth it.
La 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 la. Are you in my power yet?
This bit is fun. I'm pretty sure Nelson just wrote it in as a throwaway line about Fee wanting to attract boys, but Harvey had Cara Delizia deliver it in such a spooky way. The plot starts with Carrie walking around Hope Springs with Fee and Jack in search of a computer store. Unfortunately for Fee, the one that they remembered has been turned into a music hall, so they move on, but Carrie lingers behind to check out the new place. The fact that the main characters are all musicians works well with the Siren figure being a dangerous magical musician. He enters to find a crowd of men entranced with the beautiful singer, Callie Snow, a name amusingly similar to Kaylee Fry, and soon becomes entranced with her himself. Two female staff members don't get it, but Carrie and the other men see her bathed in an angelic light. I experienced something like that myself when I saw Joel State at a Firefly convention. And Sean Marr. Both actors are drop-dead gorgeous. She sings a song called Questions, written by executive producer John Cooksey. The song is about her dissatisfaction with romance, and how it doesn't bring her self-actualization like romance stories have led her to believe. In this way, it fits in with the theme of feminist criticism established by the cold open. It's not my favorite of the So Weird songs, with none of the passion of The Rock, or the melancholy of More Like a River, but it's perfectly serviceable as a Siren song. However, it could have been a different song. In his 2019 interview with the So Weird podcast, Cooksey revealed that a young Christina Aguilera, also working with the Disney Channel, offered the use of her first single, Genie in a Bottle, and kicks himself now for rejecting that in favor of his own song.
I got this tape from Lee, he said, we have this girl down here that we'd really like to put in the episode Siren, but she has to use her own song. And I'd already written questions. So I played this tape, and that song was Genie in a Bottle, Christina Aguilera. And we got to the end, and it was like, yeah, she's pretty good. And I said it, and I called him back and said, I don't know, I want to use my own song. So that was the worst decision I've ever made in my entire career. No offense to Jewel State, but it was like, I should have always say yes, right?
Genie in a Bottle is a fast-paced, sexy pop song about not rushing into sex and waiting to make sure the guy you're into actually cares about you. It's a decent message and a fun song, but I honestly don't think it fits the episode. It matters that the siren sings about having doubt about love. It makes sense to the character as a siren, and creates a contrast between her doubt and Carrie's faith that love is real, and does complete you, because he's feeling that right now. Genie in a Bottle is sexy and appropriate to a siren on a superficial level, but it doesn't fit Callie's doubt about love. It assumes that love exists, and dares a potential suitor to love, or rub her right.
I don't get it. I mean, the voice is okay and she's pretty enough, but what's the big deal?
Mind the heteronormativity. Carrie falls in love, like all the other men in the room. At this point, and for the rest of the episode, his mind is addled. He is not in full control over his actions, so he can't be held responsible for them, and is made vulnerable to manipulation. The siren song appears to induce euphoria and make the affected easily suggestible, but he does have some ability to act on his own. It's not complete brainwashing, it's more like he's high. High on love, he approaches Callie in her dressing room, which is an action she did not intend. This isn't her pulling the strings. She initially finds him annoying. Dealing with annoying men who fall in love with her is splash damage from her singing, not some kind of evil plot.
I don't like men in my dressing room.
Well, that's okay, cause I'm not a man. Exactly. I'm more of a man boy, you know, like really manly, but with that boyish quality.
But clearly masculine. You get that, right?
His active pursuit here is evocative of romance tropes. He sees himself as the romantic lead and has a sense of entitlement that propels him to violate social protocols, to enter her personal space and claim the love of his life, as he sees it. It comes close to crossing the line into harassment. It's certainly questionable that once removed of his inhibitions, he chooses to sneak into her personal space instead of waiting for her to enter a public area. But the fact that his mind is addled makes it difficult to assign any real blame. Also, I think he's only annoying at worst. He doesn't really do anything more than make conversation and express his opinion of her music. Beautiful, but so mistrustful of love. His flirtation is clear without being direct, and I don't think that this could have worked with Genie in a Bottle, where all he could really say is, "I'll be the right guy for you," and it might come across as creepier. She finds him charming, and they sort of hit it off before Callie's manager, Evelyn, chases him out. You can tell that she's no good because she dresses in a dark-colored, sharp, vaguely androgynous pantsuit. This costuming codes women as evil by evoking women who challenge gender roles by entering the domain of men, similar to the female antagonists of Last Man on Planet Earth. When contrasting her with Callie, who is of ambiguous morality, you have an obvious bad guy and one somewhat disturbing because she may be a wolf in sheep's clothing. A predatory character clothed in otherwise innocuous traditional femininity. It is as heteronormative as the Siren song. Carrie begs Molly to take them all to see Callie perform that night. Molly is resistant until she hears that Evelyn is involved. Evelyn is an old associate of Molly's, who tried to be her manager before Molly decided on Irene instead. Evelyn didn't take it very well, and Molly and Irene don't like her, but they're curious to see what she's up to, so they agree to check it out. As can be anticipated, all the men and man-boys are into Callie's music, while the women, and Fee, the woman-girl, are less so. Fee notices that aside from her, Molly, and Irene, there are no women in the audience. When I spoke about this scene in my overall series review, a commenter pointed out that the woman behind Fee's head apparently is a mistake in the production, but an earlier scene shows that she works at the music hall, so it is neither a mistake nor some kind of allusion to lesbianism. The lack of recognition that some people are gay annoys me. It confused me as a kid because I knew that gay people existed, and I didn't even fully understand the concept of straight people because no one really talked about the different types of sexual and romantic orientations. So I couldn't even understand that these characters happen to be straight because that would necessitate recognition of a non-straight orientation. Their position is pure heterosexism, pretending that heterosexuality is the only thing that exists, and it didn't map to my sense of reality. It just seemed weird, so weird, that Fee wasn't into Callie. The fact that Fee feels nothing just confused me.
You don't hear it?
And even if Fee was protected by faith or being a lightning rod, why wouldn't other girls be affected? I thought it was a big mistake. As an adult, I know it's homophobia. Particularly homophobia from Disney Channel's conservatism.
How are people going to look at me after they find out I'm gay? I said it. And it felt okay.
The late 90s were a time when mainstream TV was bringing gay characters into increased legitimacy and acceptance. 1994's Friends was bold in its depiction of a lesbian couple co-parenting Ross's child, with much of the humor about his own insecurity. In 1997, Ellen DeGeneres came out on TV and in real life.
Susan, I'm gay.
1998 gave us Will and Grace, a show that practically made gay culture mainstream and did a lot to relax tensions. The world was wising up to us being here, queer, and not going anywhere, with a noticeable lack of recognition on children's programming. While family-aimed media was increasingly gay-friendly, with 1993's Mrs. Doubtfire featuring a positively depicted gay couple, children's media particularly was mired by conservatism. Certain gay-coded foppish or sissy characters showed up here and there, like the waiter in ABC's 1994 series Reboot, and there is the odd cross-dressing plot that sometimes involves someone flirting with someone of the same gender by mistake or deception, but it's not intended as queer representation and may be hostile to the queer child audience, which producers pretended to not exist for a long time. In the same year So Weird pretended that gay people don't exist, Disney Channel aired an episode of the 1997 to 1999 series Smart Guy, with a gag where Marcus humiliates himself by pretending to be effeminate in a futile attempt to lose a girl's interest.
Oh my goodness, who is that in the darling sweater? Is that merino wool? Yeah. Ugh, it is so soft. I wish I could wear that color.
They also aired the 1994 to 1997 cartoon Disney's Gargoyles, in which the character Lexington, reportedly gay according to writers, is so heavily straight-washed that he makes Dumbledore look flaming in comparison. A year later, in 2000, they would pick up the ABC show Boy Meets World, censor some of the raunchier parts of humor.
I could never share any of my personal items with someone who won't even show me her tushy.
And leave intact many jokes acknowledging the existence of gay people and then laughing hysterically at them.
Court, let's reenact the night of the date. Maybe there's something I missed. Come on, show me exactly. Pretend I'm Topanga. Not gonna. Well, I want you to know, yeah, that I love you. We agreed that we were gonna go out and meet new people. I'm not making you happy?
Corey and Sean had a fight. Sean dumped him.
Is everything okay between him and Topanga?
Great. Never better.
When they kiss, he enjoys it, right?
Did you enjoy that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
You know what? You never even told me about your first time. Remember Mitchell Davis? There's an unexpected surprise. Why don't you tell me about your second time?
When not presenting them as people to be feared.
Topanga! Fred!
Disney Channel wouldn't do the bare minimum for representation for gay people until 2014's Good Luck Charlie, in which the penultimate episode features lesbian parents for a brief gag that, for once, isn't about laughing at gay people, but instead the straight main characters being stupid for failing to recognize that gay parents are a possibility.
I met the mom, Susan. She's really nice.
Oh, I met her. I thought her name was Cheryl.
No, it's Susan.
Are you sure?
Am I sure that I'm right and you're wrong? Always. Okay, that must be done. Hi! Hi, Susan.
Hi. Amy, this is Taylor's other mom, Cheryl.
Oh, hi. This is my husband, Bob.
Hey, nice to meet you. Come on in. Come on in.
It provoked a homophobic response, of course, but Disney Channel eventually floated back to the subject in 2017, when an episode of Star vs. the Forces of Evil featured two gay kisses in the background of a crowd kissing scene. This is basically what I would have wanted from Callie's audience in Siren. 18 years later, Disney Channel continues to come around. A 2019 episode of Andy Mack had a supporting character come out as gay.
That's your classic bagel and lox. That's gefilte fish. Skip that. And I'm gay. Yeah? Okay, cool.
Disney Channel is slow to accept change, but it's finally catching up to where the rest of America was some 20 years previous. Evelyn spots them and comes over to gloat that her new talent from the Adriatic region is way better than Molly, bringing Callie over to meet them. While the adults get catty, Vi just tries to figure out the mystery of only men being drawn to Callie. Carrie and Ned lavish praise on her, and that runs into some unfortunate age disparity dynamics. Should an older, middle-aged man be depicted as attracted and expressive of such to someone who looks like a teenager? Jewel State was 16 at the time this was made. Her character's age is unclear, but even if she was playing a 20-year-old or some paranormal equivalent, Ned's interest seems inappropriate. Now, a lot of the United States' age of consent are 16, and Canada's was only 14 at the time, but there's still a social taboo to prevent exploitation. Ned may not be the creeper from Hard Candy, but he's still being inappropriate. The show plays it for humor with Irene getting annoyed with him, and he doesn't pursue it, and it's not really in his control, but it's weird. Can I just leave it at that? It's weird? While Evelyn gets everyone annoyed at her, Carrie sneaks in an invitation to dinner, Ned adding that he's good at cooking. Whatever. Callie accepts, giving the impression that she's into Carrie and wants to see where this goes. V does a little research, learning that the Adriatic Lauto-playing beauty may in fact be a siren from the legendary island of Anthomoesa. While her voiceover reads about the terrible threat that Callie poses, Carrie sneaks out to exchange lovey-dovey sentiment with her.
I knew you'd come.
Ooh, shiver. When I was a kid, this right here would terrify me. They do a good job of making her intimidating. Unfortunately, after the commercial break, it doesn't really live up to the teasing cliffhanger. She just tells Carrie that they're going to run away together. Forever. Which is a bad thing, sure. Considering that he can't really consent right now, it's technically kidnapping. But it hardly seems worth all the scary build-up. It's just a transitional scene. They're just talking. And then it leads into the dinner scene, with more talking. All I'm saying is that it's no Season 2 Episode 8 Werewolf. Oh, and Callie gives Carrie her album. And you just know that if she were played by Christina Aguilera, that would be a promotion. I'm sure it would look exactly like her current album. At the dinner, the adults snipe at each other, Carrie and Callie flirt, and Fee?
You must miss your parents back in Anthomoesa.
Oh, I just tell her she has a new family with every audience.
Wow. I love that part. Best part of the episode. It peels back the edges of the masquerade to acknowledge the power that these two characters have as they start to round off on each other. V depends on the masquerade for protection. She would probably lose if she had to fight Callie, but she can prod at it enough to make Callie feel insecure. Not to a mean extent, of course, because Callie also has power. They can trade antagonistic glances. It's the kind of antagonistic dignity that Jewel State would later demonstrate in her role as a predatory alien on Stargate Atlantis. Callie sneaks off with Carrie and tries to run away with him right then and there. He resists, but she sings, and he comes around. Just to be clear, this is kidnapping. V confronts her, accuses her of being a siren, and tells her to tell Carrie to leave them alone.
I know he'll do whatever you say.
It's subtle, but I like the way that they're positioned here as two young women squaring off against each other. Carrie is the helpless dude in distress, and his disempowerment at the mouth of Callie serves to bolster her own sense of power. She is a pretty fun female villain. She sends Carrie away and becomes delightfully intimidating as she appears to stalk V. They didn't spring for makeup, probably for the best, but I get the sense that in a previous version of the script, she was to transform into a siren, into a bird person. She holds her arms very straight, like they're wings, and she holds her neck in a similar way. She seems like she should be part hawk. When you add in V's description of how sirens have hawk wings and hawk claws...
These demonic women with hawk wings and claws. I could skip the hawk claws.
It seems to me that this is foreshadowing for Callie's eventual transformation into a bird woman. As it is, she kind of looks like a bird woman underneath human flesh. Just the way she holds herself is intimidating, like she is a bird person. She threatens to carve her up like a turkey dinner, but it turns out it's all just bluster. She is actually exploited by Evelyn, forced to make money for her at the threat of exposure, and she just wants freedom. Furthermore, she suffers for never knowing if men really love her or are just enthralled by her music. All her apparent power is really a curse. V, ever the bleeding heart, instantly forgives Callie for threatening to go Freddy Krueger on her and enthralling Carrie and helps her get away with Carrie. Wait, what? When did we decide that he could consent to this? Callie just said she doubts he's even really in love with her. And we know that she can sing in his ear to make him do things. I'm pretty sure V helping Callie transport Carrie to Greece or Anthomoesa or wherever to be her boyfriend against his will counts as being an accomplice to sex trafficking. Our hero. Oh wait, I forgot. Carrie is a man-boy, and is therefore assumed to always want sex anyway, and is assumed to be unrapeable. It's a regressive bit of sexism, stemming from the assumptions of female weakness and male strength, and it enables the victimization of males through legitimizing this double standard. Fortunately for Carrie, Callie forgot her lauto back at the music hall, and needs to go back for it. Evelyn catches her there, but Molly stands up to her in Callie's defense. She recognizes that Evelyn is exploiting Callie through blackmail of some kind, and identifies with her in the being potentially exploited by Evelyn and other predatory music business executives. Evelyn seems like she might expose Callie in a last-ditch effort, but Molly says that she doesn't care what Callie's secret is. Molly will defend her. Callie sneaks out in the middle of all this, and Evelyn loses her cash cow. Molly takes Callie's place at her scheduled concert and sings one of her oldies, Rebecca, which has some interesting parallels to Callie's story as she says goodbye to Carrie, promises to love him, and vanishes into the night. The song Rebecca describes how Rebecca Habib would form deep bonds of friendship with unsuspecting girls like Molly and then leave without warning. The lyrics we hear describe Rebecca as Callie is on screen, about to wander on herself, but the audio fades away just before reaching lyrics that may be more relevant.
She'll be your friend before you know her. She'll have your trust before it's earned. But like any nomad, she will wander, breaking the hearts of all concerned.
Callie is similar to Rebecca as a paranormal girl, whose apparent power is really something that she considers a curse, and who is threatened by prejudice and afraid of exposure. In Season 1, Episode 9, Rebecca, we don't see any real exploitation of the Habibs. Rebecca references people once trying to burn her at the stake, but this is distanced from her current circumstances by the archaic witch-hunting execution method. As far as the episode is framed, the Habibs are just being paranoid, and Rebecca suffers as a result. However, in Siren, we can see just how horrible a modern human exploitation of a paranormal character can be, and Callie seems much more justified in running. Later on, Vampire will show us an example of how evil paranormal characters use the masquerade to exploit humans, and how exposure can be a good thing in these cases. The Methuselah Habibs, Sirens, and Vampires make up a spectrum of paranormal characters hiding in the masquerade. The Habibs are completely sympathetic, and we hate how prejudice has forced them into hiding. Sirens are ambiguous. Callie seems okay, but she still threatens to use Fee as a scratching post and has a penchant for enslaving men to her will. She does bad things, but she's ultimately sympathetic, and we root for her to escape Evelyn's control and search for true love. So exposure is framed as a bad thing. On the other end of the spectrum, the vampires use the masquerade for unambiguously evil purposes, and exposure is framed as the work of heroes. When Molly confronts Evelyn, she stands up for her past self in addition to Callie, but also, maybe, for Rebecca. Rebecca left because of fear of exposure, and she hesitated to tell Molly what was really going on. Molly now says that she doesn't care about what secrets are threatened. Exposure of them wouldn't make her stop caring because she has empathy, and that makes exploitative humans lose their power. Ironically, this metaphor may be most applicable to homophobia. The secret that gives haters their power needn't be cause for disrespect, and acknowledging that removes the hold that haters have over the exploited people. But of course, it is ultimately just a metaphor for prejudice in general. Callie is a tragic figure. Not only is she in danger of exploitation, she can't be certain that anyone who hears her song actually loves her. Her siren song, even as it enthralls men, is a song of deep sadness and distrust of love's promise. She has the ability to have men worship her, and yet is melancholic because it isn't real love, as far as she's concerned. However, there are hints that Carrie's love may be real, even though he is also affected by the spell. Most affected men do not behave like him. They just admire her. Evelyn alludes to some men sexually harassing Callie, but nothing like them being in love and actively courting her. It fits in with the show's Christian themes that Carrie's faith in love would have substance in contradiction to Callie's doubt. And I think Callie is ultimately convinced that he's right and admits it before leaving. which has parallels to Rick's faith in another world, and Molly's eventual acceptance of it. It's a nice romance between a man-boy and a bird-woman, but I don't like how her creepier aspects are ultimately ignored in favor of embracing her traditional feminine gender performance of having no threatening characteristics. The show decides what's important is how she's a tragic victim of doubt and love, and forgets that she takes away people's will. I'm not above feeling sympathy to baddies. I can feel sorry for Snape, but you can't just pretend that they're good guys. If we should care about Evelyn taking away Callie's power, we should care about her taking away men's power. But the third act just forgets about that. I'm not even sure how much to ascribe to sexism, and how much to just plain laziness of writing. Overall, Siren is a fun episode with a few problem areas. The back and forth between Fee and Callie is great. The Siren intimidation gives her the aura of a great villain. Jules' state is always entertaining to watch, and the romance is a bit clunky but interesting enough for me as a kid, and I can detect a bit of nuanced storytelling with the parallels to other storylines. However, the heterosexism and double-standard rape apologism is enough to decrease my enjoyment of the episode. At least I can confidently say that Disney Channel has improved away from the homophobic state that produced this content. Here's to progress. Please like, share, subscribe, and consider donating to my Patreon. Pledges of $2 or more will earn you an explicit thank you at the end of each video. Thank you.